This is the picture of failure today, so it's time for a physical clear up, a mental clear up, and then I'll talk about this. Hello and welcome to another video. This video is in two parts. If you're interested just in this, then you're going to have to skip ahead. There'll be chapters down below. But I also want to talk about a couple of videos that I have had to abandon and a couple of other things that I've got planned. So make good use of the chapters below and you'll be able to find the bits you want to find out about. I put up a video a few videos ago with like coming up next, what's next on the channel, and I think it included these three, so that's what I want to talk about later on, but it didn't really deserve its own video, I don't think. I've been working on this one. In fact, today I was editing the video for this. Although it looks like it's working now, it hasn't been working. I thought it was working and I was editing the video for it, and I've completely abandoned that video now because the cleaning and lubrication I did on this has not worked. It's still giving me a TOC error sometimes. It can't read the table of contents, and it's also is not. Had to do an edit there because I had to take a phone call. So this appears to be working. There was a video that went up about me getting the cradle, and then I shot the video, and then the following day this stopped working. So I shot another video of me cleaning it and lubricating the internals without taking it apart, and again it appeared to be working. And this morning I was halfway through editing that video, quite a long edit, quite a complicated edit, and I just checked this again, and it kept giving me a TOC error, like it couldn't read the table of contents, and it's still making a knocking sound. So I've abandoned that editing. I took it apart, not on camera, and lubricated the rest of the gears, but I think one of the gears is jumping up off of the other gear, so I think this one has had it. And I've got plenty of players now, so it's not worth my while doing. So I've had to abandon, despite doing the whole shoot and half of the editing, I've abandoned that. But I am still testing it though, because I've got speakers and I've got it all working as well as I could. Then it just stopped working again. Okay, so moving on, one of the other videos that I had planned to do was changing the pinch rollers in this, and I shot the entire video. And I've never changed pinch rollers before. The pinch rollers are there and there. I only needed to change one of them because it was playing very well in one direction, but it sounded awful in the other direction because the battery had run out while it was in the play position, and it had caused a groove in the pinch roller. So I ordered some pinch rollers from eBay. I couldn't get them from my usual suppliers, so I just ordered what I could get. I've got a couple of suppliers I really like for belts, and in the video I've already done for this, I changed the belts, I cleaned up the cassette head, I cleaned up the headphone jack because that was crackly, and the volume control because that was crackly. So I did all that, but I needed a pinch roller. So I shot the whole of the pinch roller video, really fiddly, lots of different shots while I was trying to get it right. And I haven't started editing that because when I played a tape in it, having changed the pinch roller, it still sounded awful. And I did some tests, and the pinch roller isn't round. The pinch roller appears to be round, but the hole is offset. And there are 5 pinch rollers in the pack that I bought, and I thought I'll use one and keep another 4 for other projects, but they're all not very good. So I've got in touch with one of the suppliers I like for pinch rollers, and it's not listed on their website, but they do have other pinch rollers. So I said to them, do you have anything in stock with these measurements? And hopefully I'll be able to get a decent pinch roller from that supplier for this. And if I do, now I know how to get the pinch roller assembly out, I'll do a separate video on that. Because there was a lot of fiddling about because I didn't know how to do it, and there was nothing on YouTube for it. So hopefully I'll be able to get a pinch roller for this, and then do a pinch roller replacement, start off fresh on that video. I've fixed this as best I could in a previous video, got it working for some rewinding I need to do of 70 odd cassettes. But in the process of putting some temporary belts on so I could do that rewinding, I broke a piece of solder and a wire came loose, and I've now got the belts for this The wire I've got a solution for, and the piece of solder I've got to take the whole circuit board out of this and then resolder. I think there's like a dry solder joint on it, so that's going to be stretching the limits of my knowledge and expertise. So these are some of the cassettes I needed to rewind. This is from a batch of cassettes I was given, about 70 odd cassettes. All the links to all the videos of these will be in the description if you want to go check them out. So I had to rewind and fast forward all of these, and that's what I was using the Boombox for, and that's why I needed to put some temporary belts on it. But I did think of using this to do the winding, because it was just up in a cupboard and I wasn't using it very much, so I'll come back onto this later on. I'm part way through listening to these. The problem with some of them is the ones that are home recorded run really slowly, which I've solved by using my favourite player, which is this Pioneer system back here. The cassette deck on this has been running fast, and my plan is to take it apart and adjust the speed on the cassette deck so it can play shop bought albums at the right speed. And then I'm going to do all of my decks, get them all running to the right speed. But for now I'm leaving that, and because that runs fast and the recordings on those tapes are too slow, so if I play them in there it's roughly the right speed. Underneath that I've got an Iowa, I think it's an AD-F410, and the transport is jammed, so that's another video, but I'm going to do both of those videos at the same time because I've got to move them all out of this stored position and disconnect all the wires. But this thing here, I'm lucky enough that I've actually got the Minidisc slot working, and I shot a video on that I think it was earlier on in the week, and managed to get the Minidisc working. It was going in and then immediately coming back out. So the Minidisc is working on that. That was a complicated thing to do because I fixed it through the Minidisc slot. But I've still got to fix the tape mechanism on that because the belts have had it. Now the problem is the belts for this, the only place I can find belts for this, they're going to take quite a while to get here. They're coming from the EU, and including postage they're about £25, and I don't really want to keep that system. Although the system is nice and the swivelling control panel is quite good, I've hooked up some speakers to it and it doesn't sound that good. So I'm not so sure whether I want to go back and spend another that I paid £35 for, I think, that system. I don't know whether I want to spend another 20 odd pounds on belts for this, and then even if I sold it I couldn't sell it for much, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do on that, but that is one of the wins I've had recently and I'm pleased for that. So this week's video shoots are that which has been half edited but now abandoned, and that which has been shot and now abandoned. And that brings us on to this lovely Sony MW-FX277, and that's what we'll be talking about today. Right, so this was introduced in 2001, and it's an early one that I bought, and I don't think I even had to change the belts on it. It's an all plastic affair. It's got a digital tuner on it, and I don't listen to the radio, so that's no benefit to me. It was running very, very slow, so I've had the case off. It's all plastic, there's no screws, and unfortunately because of its age, undoing the clips has broken most of the clips, but it went back on all right. But the reason I got this out, I remembered I had this. I had all those cassettes to wind on and wind back, and the belts had finally given up in the Boombox. So I got this out just to use it as a winder, because although I've got a couple of quite nice decks and a nice Walkman, a couple of nice Walkmans, I didn't want to put any wear on those, winding forwards and back 70 odd cassettes. So I thought I'd get this out, and it wasn't until I was using it, it takes a couple of AA batteries, that I realised it's actually not a bad Walkman. And I think I'm going to be using it as my Walkman of the week for next week. It doesn't have Dolby, which is a bit of a problem, because all of the cassettes that are shop bought that I want to listen to I record on Dolby, and Dolby increases the treble on the recording and then decreases it on the playback, and that reduces the tape hiss. So when you listen to a Dolby tape in a cassette player that doesn't have Dolby on it, it can sound quite tinny, a lot, too much treble on it. But other than that, it's got some quite good features. It's got volume control, obviously. It's got an automatic volume limiting system, and that came into law in the EU at some point. I don't know when. So normally in the rest of the world, you just listen to it normally, and if you accidentally crank up the volume too high, you're gonna, or leave it too high, you're gonna damage your hearing. And I think it was brought out to protect kids from listening to these things too high and having long-term loud noises damaging their hearing. So when you switch the limit switch on, what it actually does is it just reduces the volume across the range. So if the volume's down at its minimum on here, and it's in normal, you can turn it up and it gets loud quite quickly. But when the limit's on, it starts off even quieter, and the maximum volume doesn't get, it's still loud, but it doesn't get too loud. And that's really to prevent people from, going out for a walk with it, being in a noisy environment, turning it up, and what they're actually doing is bombarding their ears and damaging their hearing. But something you don't get nowadays on anything new is the metal and chrome tape, or type 2, and so it's type 2 and type 4. So there's a switch there for if you've got normal cassettes, like type 1 cassettes, you'd have it in that position there. And if you've got type 2 or type 4, or if you're lucky enough to have a type 3, you can switch it over to there. And I don't know what benefit that gives you, to be honest. I think my type 2 reduces, type 2 has less hiss. So what you can do is you can record it at a louder, and you have to give it more power when you record it. But I'm not sure what effect it has on playback. And this doesn't record, but it does have a type 1 and type 2 or metal switch on it. Being all plastic, it's quite light. I don't know how long the batteries last because I haven't used it as a serious player for a long while. But it's in pretty good condition, this one, and they're still available on eBay if you want to buy them. But you are going to have to source some belts from someone, I would imagine. People do put new belts on, but they don't use good quality belts. They use cheap multi-pack belts, and they sound pretty cool. I think it's got 40. Let me just check. It's got 40 presets, but as I said, I don't listen to the radio, and it doesn't have auto reverse on it. So once you've got to the end of your tape, you're going to have to take it out and put it back in the other way. So what didn't really warrant a review video of its own, but it was one that I said I would cover at some point. Quite a nice little unit. If you're looking to get just a cheap Walkman, day-to-day Walkman to listen to some old tapes, this is probably a good deal and not very expensive. So that's all I've got to say about it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.